Hello everyone, how's things? Well, it's a bit rainy here and very dark, a bit miserable too, so I think I don't know if this is going to cheer you up, but I'll do my best anyway. I'm going to talk about a really ponderous topic today. It's based on an essay by Roland Barthes in 1967, the whole death of the author idea. Now it originates in literature, especially like the literary criticism, all that sort of thing. I did say it was going to be a bit ponderous, but all those sort of French, literary critics. But he wrote this essay called, it translates as the death of the author. But basically, giving the gist of what he was saying, that an author is more of like a compiler of texts and ideas, and the reader is more like a sort of interpreter of those ideas. So you have this idea of like the birth of the reader being the death of the author, and so when you actually start to translate this into music, all we're doing as musicians is well, depends on if you're a composer as well. You're not sort of like, what shall I do today? Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. At some level you are, but at a deeper level, what you're doing is you're transcribing ideas that have gone before, and then developing those ideas, linking them with other stuff. So this is why this is more my kind of approach to, like, musical fusion, if you like, where you're taking like these great ideas here and you say, yeah, that's great, but we could develop that a bit better. Well, how do we develop that? Well, there's all these other great ideas over here. They need researching and studying. Let's plug those in. So in that process, I mean, it's a bit more academic, and when you actually read like academic papers, etc., you'll find that this big literature search of what's gone before, on say on like a particular method, or in whatever year so and so said this, right? Okay, well, and then so and so then said a different so and so. Came back to that and said, well, actually that's okay, but you got this bit wrong, try this instead. All right. And then somebody else comes along and says, well, actually no, both you guys are wrong, you need to be doing this. And so you get this long sort of dialogue between like authors who've like just developed this idea and taken it one step further, and so in the realm of like the arts, I mean, like I say, it does come from literature, but in the realm of like the musical arts, it should be about making like the listener and the viewer, making them feel sort of inspired, because if I mean, obviously you don't want to be patronising your viewers and listeners. No, of course not. You're all highly intelligent people. So at some point, like the reader, the listener, the author, the listener, the audience, they are going to have some critical thinking of their own as well, saying, right, well, how has he done that? Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, that links with that. That links with that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So then you find that any artwork should. Well, let's keep it with music. But any piece of music, it should work in several different levels. First of all, is like there's like the metaphorical idea. What is this composer or performer trying to convey? What are they trying to say to you? Have they actually got that across? Are they telling a story? If say it's a guitarist in a solo, are they continuing the actual narrative of what the song's about, or are they just being sort of self-indulgent? You know, what is the song about? Is it, you know, is it about something trivial, or is it something something, you know, something that sort of like that hits the, like, let's say, the human condition a little more strongly, you know, like does it appeal to everybody, or is it just appeal to one or two people, you know? And then you're moving further down is like the technical ideas, you know, like you can write, yes, like guitarists, yes, you know, certain techniques, how well was that executed? Is it overly technical? If it's, I mean, you know, and then we start getting these questions about, you know, technique versus feel, because like the technique, if it's just sort of, oh well, I'll plug this technique in here because I can, oh, and I'll do this one as well because I can, rather than keeping to some sort of narrative structure, you know, like telling a story. You see what I mean? You see where I'm going with this? Which is one reason why, you know, like when you listening to classical music is a good idea as well, and actually going to like proper classical concerts. I mean, I'm quite fortunate in Leicester. Haven't been for a while, but like at De Montfort Hall, which it's not that far from here. The Philharmonia, they have a residency here, and so quite often, you know, you can go and see concerts and things with them. And so then you actually just get this full richness of like the whole orchestra, you know. And if a composer is worth his or her soul, then they'll bring out all of the orchestra. They won't be sort of like, you know, just dwelling on like one or two bits. They will have made full use of that orchestra. You know, what's the point in having a 100-piece orchestra if you're only just going to focus on one or two players? You know. So then we actually, yeah, then it starts to hit home a bit stronger as well, because the whole ego trip idea of you know, like the guitarist being on some sort of pedestal going, hey, look at me, aren't I cool? That kind of evaporates, because is that player actually, you know, are they compiling stuff from other sources? Can you actually trace those other sources? I mean, that actually comes down to like an American composer called, is it George Louis Borg? I think that's, it's not like the Borg from Star Trek. No, it's Borg. It's spelled Borges. Because I mean, he's written a few things on this, but there's one thing. There's an essay called Labyrinth, which is a very similar sort of idea, but the idea of coming across like how any author or musician, performer, etc., that within what they're doing, within the structure of that piece, can you actually trace their influences back to their sources? You know, is that a conscious or a subconscious? You know, are they doing it deliberately? You know, are they playing, say, in the style of Jeff Beck in one moment, and then playing in the style of Van Halen in the next moment? You know, as an example. So and then you also looking at the bigger picture. It means that like nothing is firmly like set in stone anymore. You know, like the idea of like, you know, like genres, that the embarkation lines between genres starts to get a bit vague. You know, when you say, oh, well, I'm a rock guy, or I'm a metal guy, or I'm just a jazz guy. These things can't just exist in vacuums. If they can, well, I mean, if they do, then in a way we're kind of kidding ourselves, because all it takes is just that one example that sort of like will contradict what you're doing, and it's like, oh, no. You know, and then you realise, you know, that it's kind of, it's almost like pretending to be something, you know, and ignoring all the other stuff that's going on. So I really just want to get across this idea about, you know, that what we're doing, what we should be seeking to do, is to compile ideas. Yes, you can have your favourite players, etc., favourite bands and whatnot, but don't limit yourself to that, because that's just mere replication. It's that so what question. Oh, so what question? Yeah, you know how to do this. Yeah, the so what question. Yeah, sorry, I had to do that. Yeah, it's how much further are you prepared to take the form forward? And even if you have got like several influences, are they sort of? Are you just meandering? Are you just playing bits of songs, or have you actually got that conviction within you, that integrity? There's a good word. Integrity just means like the solidity of what you're doing. As in integrated, yeah. Have you actually got all that, within what you're doing? So I said this was going to be a bit ponderous, didn't I? But I just want to throw that out there, because I think it's important to know these things and to be aware of them, and all this thing about death of the grand narrative, etc., etc. This is no longer this this overarching narrative which we're following. The only overarching thing is this idea of like just gathering ideas together, bringing them together, making something new. That's really all we're doing. Or looking at what's gone before and casting a critical eye on it and saying, right, well, I like that, but we can improve on it. How do we improve on it? Where do we improve on it? Etc. etc. And then that should set you free. It's terrifying as well, because suddenly there's no limits on what you can do, and you've got all this scope, and you perhaps don't quite know where to start. But at the same time, it is liberating, or it should be liberating, because it means that you have this tremendous freedom. You can do what you like, but within certain, as long as you're sort of compiling and critiquing, and then critiquing your own stuff as well. Being honest about it. Saying, well, I played so and so. Can I improve? What do I want to improve about what I'm doing? If something was sloppy, is there a way I could get so it's not sloppy? Can I start windowing in on it and that sort of thing? So yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's slightly different, but to me this is important, and it's important stuff to get across. Okay, all right. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing. I can never say that all in one breath. I'll see you next time.